Guys, we're going to be discussing natural disasters and the connection that we have into climate zones and into different regions of the world. And I'm going to explain to you guys what the effects of natural disasters are. And so we're going to have a little mini lesson on what natural disaster effects are. That could include flooding, tornadoes, that could include a lot of things. So I'd like you to be aware. The effects of natural disasters. Next slide. Let's talk about the health effects. You can have injuries. One of the major issues that people have is they can lose their life, a fatal or mortal injury. Okay? So that's one of the major issues. There can be a spread of disease, you guys. You can have reduced standards of sanitation. Unfortunately, when you have a flood, all the sanitation and the water that's in the system is flooded and gone. And it's gone over. So I don't want to get into details, but we know dirty water is not something that we're comfortable drinking, bathing in, etc. Malnutrition due to food shortages. Now, if I'm in a country that is a developing nation, it means that I don't have a lot to eat already. So realistically, if I'm in a developing country, malnutrition means I'm not being fed properly, and I will actually lose even more food in the course of a drought, in the course of a flood, in a volcanic eruption, any of those ideas, or earthquake, or a lack of hospital space and medical supplies. If I'm enduring through an issue and they can't get me the supplies I need, it's over. Next slide. Social effects. I could have a loss of my family member. I could have a disruption of my transportation network. How am I going to get to work? Communication networks. You guys know when there's an issue, all lines are down. Or disruption of education. And we've seen this before. If there is a flood, if there is a blizzard, if there is an issue, then guess what? Education stops as well.
Purple.
Next slide. There could be a disruption of the economy. This is all relating to money, you guys. Think about it. If I'm having a flood, an earthquake, if I am having any sort of issue that arises, that's a disaster. Economics is going to be ruined. It could be loss of jobs, physical damage to businesses or industries, loss of business or disruptions in trade. Next slide. Political effects. You never know. You could lose a leader. If we had a very tragic issue, that we could have somebody actually die in office. Disruption of government. And this has happened before, you guys. If people can't report to their job as being a governor, a senator, then laws are not getting passed and things are not happening and being achieved. Or damage to government buildings. So all these things can occur. Next slide. I want you guys to pay close attention to environmental effects.
Okay.
Damages to homes and buildings. Destruction and damage of natural features of the environment. Decreased quality and quantity of water and supplies. Destruction of crops. This goes back into what we learned at the beginning of the year about our social scientists. It goes back into all these people figuring out, well, what do I do now? What do I do with the issues at hand? How do I go about solving them? Go ahead. If you guys look right here, this is an area of Japan, and obviously you can see that the tsunami hit bad.
Oh, I heard.
And there's an epicenter, which means where it hit the worst. Remember we read the story about the basketball going back and forth and being found literally in Alaska? That's why she's represented there.
Okay.
What makes a problem a global problem? A natural disaster is a global problem. What does that? Do you think the earthquake and resulting tsunami in Japan was a global problem? Why or why not? Can somebody tell me whether they think this issue here is a global problem? Why or why not? Why or why not?
global problem because it's not happening all around the world.
I can take that. Kaylin.
I think it's a global problem because it's people that live around water. It'd be bad for them because
So maybe they can't connect with the other people globally, is what you're saying. Micaiah. It's okay. We can answer.
I think I think earthquake is not a global problem because, well, I think it is a global problem because it's an earthquake. So if you're on the earth, then if it's quaking, then it's gonna be the same thing for everybody.
It could be, and there could definitely be some residual tremors. Next slide. So let's take a look right here. Do we think that Iceland may be at risk for a natural disaster by looking at that grid and that representation? By looking at Iceland right now, do we think that that is at risk?
Kind of.
Why do you think so, Devin? Why do you think kind of, maybe, sort of? What is it? What stands out to you? I can come back to you. Did you have something to add? If you guys look, there are many different regions, and it's got different climate zones associated inside of it, as well as geographical features. So there may or may not be some issues. Let's go to the next slide. If I look right here, now I kind of do see that there could be some major issues if I look where the red spots are. Keep going. In fact, you guys, Iceland, largest volcano erupted. It sent clouds into the sky in 2010. So realistically, you guys, Iceland is full of problems. So is Iceland a global problem, or is it just their own problem, do you think, with the volcano erupting?
global because it happens.
Thumbs up if you think it's a global problem. Okay? Thumbs up if it's only Iceland's problem.
Can I say why it's a global problem?
Yes. Why do you think it's a global concern?
I think it's a global problem because all that smoke coming out the volcano, so it kind of spread everywhere.
And it can do what? It can pollute the air, correct?
Can I go? I think it's a global problem because it's not just the Iceland. It's everywhere like Ohio because more often it explodes and it goes.
Okay, so we might not actually have volcanoes in Ohio, but what you're saying is
not
air
Ohio.
quality, air spreads and goes everywhere. I see what you're saying. Devin.
It's a volcano in Hawaii. Yeah.
Hawaii. And so air does spread, you guys, but you're going to get a lot worse air quality right on the scene and right where you go to breathe the air. That's going to be where you have your biggest issues. So let's talk about it. It says, by the afternoon of April 16th, most of Europe's major airports. So ding, 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 you guys were correct. It says most of Europe, which is a whole continent, major airports, crucial hubs for international travelers, were closed. Thousands of flights were canceled, stranding or delaying millions of passengers across airports from America to Asia. It was the worst peacetime air travel disruption in history. Nearly a week-long halt in flights that cost airlines hundreds of millions of dollars that raised questions about Europe's ability to respond coherently to a crisis. So you are absolutely correct in what you said. Spot on.
Oh, me?
No, not you.
Have you changed your opinion about Iceland's natural disaster? No, we didn't need to change it because you were right. So real quickly, this is the last thing I want to share with you guys. When you're thinking about a natural disaster, it's like a cause and effect, only a three-pronged cause and effect. What are their effects? How are they different from natural disasters as well as hazards? And when are they considered a global issue? And I leave you with that. Thank you. And we're out.
Ooh. Peace. Bang, bang.